What is up, guys? Look, welcome back. It's kind of the bittersweet video of the year, but it's kind of a cool time to sit back and reflect over things that we've done. It's time to talk about the numbers. What was duck season like here in North Louisiana? You know, this is something that I do every year, and I've been doing since probably my mid-20s, so I'm 35 now. So probably I've got about 10 or 11 years worth of data that I keep harvest logs of all the hunts that I go on. And I think it's something that really and truly you should look at doing too. I mean, what it does is it allows me to look back through history and compare numbers, look at populations, look at this, that, the other, look at weather, look at conditions, look at locations. And when you do that, it helps you become a better hunter. It helps you understand what the ducks are doing, why they do it, when they do it. It lets you track population trends. So even if you're one of those that doesn't believe the numbers that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service puts out, you can track for yourself what that's doing. Because if they tell you it's a lot of mallards and you don't kill any, then you can kind of, I don't know about that. Or like if there's a rise in gadwalls and you notice, hey, look, I killed more gadwalls that year. All that stuff, generally, this data here will truth it out. It's pretty cool to look back on that. So, you know, it's another thing to do. It's another arrow to put in your quiver, so to speak. It really pays dividends if you're on private land. I'll say that, because you see like all the work that we do in the summer, you can go back and look and compare year over year. What did this spot kill more ducks? And what was the trade-off on that? Like, was the effort worth the output? And, you know, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you guess right, sometimes you guess wrong. And, you know, but this year, I'll say this year, we had a great year overall. We were able, on the hunts that I was a part of, we were able to take 1,008 ducks and geese. So, and really, I think out of that, I've got it here on my phone. I mean, I don't think there was but a handful of geese. Y'all saw one of them where we shot them in the timber. So there were 7 geese, so we killed 1,001 ducks. Now this is only counting regular duck season. This does not take into account early teal season. I keep up with those numbers, but they're just, man, teal are they're so weird on their migrations. A lot of it is length of day. So you always get those same couple of days every year they migrate. But I can tell you whenever we're hunting teal if the blue wings had a good year or not, because you know, if you kill a bunch of juvenile birds, like, oh, they had a great hatch. And you know, if you're killing nothing but adult birds, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. So, you know, through the year, I do also take into account the amount of juveniles or hatching year birds versus after hatching year. And I would say this year overall, I don't keep an exact number, but I would say there were a lot of juveniles this year. So that's a good thing. That means last year they had a good strong hatch. You know, one of the things that I did take to note looking at our numbers is early season, we did really well, really, really, really well. Part of that was due to an early cold front across the Midwest. Part of that too was we held water after the second hurricane. We saw it coming. When Delta come through, we went like 2 days before, put all the boards in and said, you know what, it's a little early to flood our stuff, but we're gonna go ahead and flood it, because you never know. You never know if you're gonna catch a drought, and it saves us a ton of money, a ton of time, a ton of effort to let Mother Nature flood it if at all possible. So we held that early front come in, it brought us a lot of ducks, and we were able to hold those ducks and manage the amount of pressure on them and keep them throughout most of the year. Now I will say, I'm not gonna lie to you, the last 2 weeks were pretty crappy. Like they weren't that good, but it was a cool year. I think I saw 5 bands killed. So we killed a reward band mallard, and the guests got the bands off of that. One mallard drake, like the 3rd morning of the season, come straight in, first duck of the morning, boom. I went out there, picked him up, and was like, you gotta be kidding me. So guest from Georgia got that one. That was pretty cool. Killed a couple of weird ducks. Killed a white-winged mallard drake. His last 3 feathers on both wings were white. We killed a brewer's duck that don't have any footage of him, but that's a gadwall mallard hybrid. Me and my buddy Clay shot him. neither one of us knew what it was. It was dark, and he come in with a mallard hen, and he looked like a drake, so he got the medicine. And then killed a banded redhead, which I thought was pretty cool. And then another banded green-winged teal. So it was a neat year. A lot of things going into this year that were unknown. A lot of the problems in North Louisiana were the crops weren't able to get out of the fields until late. So a lot of our fields had food in them, but not many of them had water because the farmer has to try and harvest and all that. So the early season in the fields weren't that strong because people couldn't get in and get out, and the ducks didn't have time to find them and rest. So actually early season, the woods and the WRP kind of stuff was really good. After we had our split, then the fields kind of picked up because they were quiet, they were pumped up, the ducks found the food, and the ducks moved to the field to go eat the grain. So, you know, but those are kind of ebbs and flows of seasons that I make notes of, and I suggest that you do too. If you look over the past 3 years, I just do this for a small subset of data. In 2018, 2019, we shot 730. In 2019, 2020, we shot 801. And then in 2020, 2021, we shot 1,008. So you can see kind of a steady upward trend in the numbers of ducks. So that kind of matches with what the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is telling us. So you can believe some of those numbers. If they're not, you know, what gets kind of weird and kind of goofy is some years see different rises and falls of certain species that don't necessarily match. Like, you know, I know this year they weren't really able to do the counts because of COVID and all that kind of good stuff, but they gave us a pretty good estimate of it. And what I saw seemed to match what they said. So what's really cool is this year we hunted 47 times. And we averaged 21.4 per hunt. So really, I mean, you can call it 21 or 22, doesn't matter if you round up or round down. I've never seen somebody kill 0.4 of a duck. So, you know, we had 201 hunters with us this year, which was an average of 5.01 per hunt. That's pretty dadgum good duck hunting. That means every day we went, we averaged killing 5 per man, and the limit is 6. And a lot of that was, a lot of that can be determined on the fact that we have a self-imposed limit on a lot of places that we hunt. We have a 20. If you can shoot, like if there's 4 of us, what we do, one thing we do, and I suggest you do it to limit the pressure on your ducks, is if you got 4 of you can kill 24 by the letter of the law. As long as you do that before 8 o'clock, you're good. If it gets to 8 o'clock and you've already hit 20, but you're not at 24, you leave. Why? Because 20 was a dadgum good duck hunt, and what a 4 more matter. We're not starving to death. We do eat a lot of them. We do give a lot of them away. So we feed our community with them, and we make sure that we keep plenty for ourselves and for the community. And once we've got that settled, then we're good. We don't have to, a limit is just a number. And we impose rules like that on us ourselves all the time. And a lot of times the first 2 or 3 weeks, it don't matter how many you've got. At 8:30, you're out. So 2 hours of hunting, have a great hunt, get out, let the ducks rest. I know this gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people, but if you have the ability to manage the pressure on your ducks, on your land, do it. You will have better duck hunting. Promise you, ever since we've started doing it, the quality of our duck hunts have gone through the roof, and the numbers bear it out. So this year, what changed over the last 2 years, honestly, was the last 2 years, green-winged teal have been our #1 duck prior to this year. This year, the mighty gadwall was our #1 duck. I don't know why that is. I guess they had a good hatch. I guess they had a good migration. I suppose that you would think a lot of it on that could be skewed towards our Deadwood Reservoir that we hunt, that's just primarily gadwalls, but we didn't hunt it that often. We didn't hunt it that often at all, really. And we killed gadwalls in every habitat type this year, which is kind of weird. We killed a lot of them in our green trees, our green timber. We killed a lot of gadwalls in there, which gadwalls, you can kill them in there. They generally don't come in there often. So for us anyways, they may where you're at in the part of the country, but they'll use it early in the season, then they kind of get off of it. But this year we shot gadwalls from the beginning to the end in our green trees. So, I mean, I'm not I'm not the kind, I love shooting mallard ducks, don't get me wrong. But if 6 gadwalls give me a chance first, I'm gonna leave with 6 gadwalls. So I don't have to have green to make it feel like I accomplished something. I do love the green, and they're pretty and they're beautiful, and when they do it right, there's nothing better. But you know what? When them aggravating gadwalls give it up and do it right too, I'm happy to oblige them. So this year gadwall was our #1 duck. 34% were gadwalls. Number 2, which has been number 2 for the past 3 years, were mallards. This year we killed 257 mallards. That's 25%. It's kind of weird because, you know, last year we killed 211 mallards, which is of the 800, you know, that's probably that's about 26%. This year we're at 25%. So you do take a little hit in the percentage wise, but what I can tell you from that and what that tells me is overall the mallard population is relatively stable, you know, and that's for us down here. We killed a good mix of adult and juvenile mallards. We killed some juveniles early, but as the year waned on, it was way more trending to the adult birds. So that was, you know, pretty neat. Number 3 this year were green-winged teal. It's kind of weird because for years they've been number 1, but I'll tell you what's even more bizarre is the percentages from this year and last year were about the same. They were both about 25% roughly. We killed 213 of them this year. Last year we killed 223. There were days where we could have loaded a dump truck full of green-winged teal had we just wanted to. So we like leaving teal around because we like having fresh teal to eat all year. So we'll shoot us a good many of them early, and then we'll let them kind of do their thing after that. The big change in that was from 2018 to 2019, we killed almost 300 green wings. So I would say that overall the green wings are kind of in a little downward trend of population. I'm not sure what the cause of that would be. If anything, it's always nesting. You know, up on the breeding grounds, they kind of return a little late, so they don't get prime habitat. So a lot of times their nest success is reduced, but you know, it is what it is in that regard. I'll go through the rest of the ducks that we killed this year. Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we killed 40 woodies, about 40 ringnecks or jacks, whatever you want to call them, 36 shovelers, 31 pintails, 19 widgeon, 12 blue wings, 3 redheads, canvasback, that one hybrid I'm telling you about, 6 snows, and 1 speckle belly. So we had a pretty down year on geese for when we did hunt the fields. There weren't just a ton of them around. But you know, it is what it is. I don't let the geese bother me a whole heck of a lot. You know, overall, I would say that we had a fantastic season. It was kind of a tale of 2 halves. The first half great, second half not so much. But that's generally the way duck seasons go. There's like little stretches in there that are fantastic, and then the rest of it is just kind of so-so. You know, a lot of times we get a good return migration of ducks that we get to hunt at the end of the year, but that didn't really happen this year. I mean, we had a little bit of a return, but what really happened was a lot of our ducks left, but they didn't get replaced by anything from the south to amount to anything. Now, you go out there and look right now after all this snow and ice, and you think we're the hottest hole in the country. I mean, there's ducks everywhere. But a lot of that has to do, and you hear people, this time of year, you hear people say, oh, we need to extend the season and all that. Nah, garbage. We do not need to extend the season. From a biological standpoint, detrimental to the birds to break pair bonds this late in their mating and breeding cycle. So just because you see a lot of them now, know that weather had influence in that. Also know that most of the places they were living were dry. Most people don't hold water and give these ducks a place to stop going back home like we do. And this year we actually have already pulled our water or started pulling it now because we have to work on the land. So there's a lot of little stuff that we need to fix. There's a lot of plant succession we need to set back. And probably every 5 or 6 years we have to do this. Normally we would leave water on till April, early May if we can get away with it. And just to give all these teal, these blue wings and all that kind of stuff a place to come back to. Woodie's a good place to nest and all that kind of good stuff. But this year we had to get rid of it early. We kept it when we saw the snow and ice coming, and we tried to keep it open. We put a little flow into it to give them a place to live and hunker out and ride out the weather. Because at the end of the day, we want these ducks to return year after year. If you're only thinking about the 60 days that you're hunting ducks, then in my opinion, that's being selfish, because you need to figure out what we can all do to take care of these ducks 365 days a year. That's something that Phil beat into me probably 10 or 12 years ago, and something that I harp into all my buddies now whenever we hunt is, how do you take care of these ducks the other 305 days of the year? And we do our best to limit pressure on them, to give them plenty of food, to give them plenty of rest, and to just let them be ducks. And when you hunt ducks like that, it's a lot easier. You know, if you've went and run traffic or hunted refuges, those things get pounded, they get very little time off, and those ducks are hard to kill. But if you can lay off of it, you just have a way more enjoyable time. Go when the conditions are favorable, stay home when they're not. You know, and just, I know you only get 60 days, but I would rather have 40 really good days than 60 that feel like a grind. This coming from a guy that used to think hunting all 60 was a badge of honor. I'm off of that. It's not the case. It's kind of in my opinion, a young man's way of thinking. I was a lot younger then. I was madder at them, and it was just kill, kill, kill. Now it's more about, how do we take care of the ducks? How do we take care of the resource? And how do I make all this better in the long run? So, you know, I encourage you to keep these numbers for yourself. Keep weather conditions, keep river stages, keep this, keep that. And it just gives you a cheat sheet to go back to in the years gone by. Like you know when river stage, certain areas produce certain ducks at certain river stages and stuff like that. And overall, I actually really and truly believe it makes you a better hunter. I do the same thing for fishing. I keep a fishing log. So I keep dates, patterns, baits, all that kind of stuff. I do the same thing when I deer hunt. Now my deer hunting stops about November 1st. So, you know, I got these early season deer patterned really well. Late season, I couldn't tell you nothing what they do. As long as they don't jump out in front of my truck, we're fine. So, but if you'll keep those log books, it makes you become more in tune to what the animals are doing. You notice their changes. You pick up on things that you can do to make their lives better, which in my mind is our responsibility anyway, is to take care of the resource year round, not just during the season. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is our nerdy video for the year. We're about to start moving into some conservation and habitat style videos. Drop us a comment down below of something you want to see this off season. Let us know how we can make this channel better for you. As always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see y'all next time.